In January 1945, France was engulfed in the harsh chill of winter, with icy fields stretching to the horizon, coated in a cold, gray-white expanse. The wind cut through the skin like knives. The ground was as hard as stone, and bomb craters, artillery mounds, and trench networks crisscrossed the battlefield, turning it into a perilous maze. Amidst this, through smoke and relentless gunfire, an extraordinary story was unfolding. A story of a small young man whose courage would astonish an entire elite German battalion. That young man was Audie Murphy, born on June 20, 1925, in the impoverished countryside of Hunt County, Texas. He was the sixth of 12 siblings, born into extreme poverty. His father left when Murphy was only 12, and his mother passed away from endocarditis and pneumonia in 1941 when he was just 16. These losses not only left deep grief, but also placed heavy responsibility on his shoulders to become the sole provider for his younger siblings. During those difficult years, Murphy learned survival skills and how to shoot to hunt rabbits and wild game to feed his family. Every bullet counted. Every shot had to be precise. Those years honed Murphy's hunter's eyes, an uncanny precision that would later strike fear into German soldiers. A neighbor recalled, "If young Murphy didn't hit his target, our family had nothing to eat. He developed absolute focus and accuracy from those harsh living conditions." When Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, Murphy saw the U.S. Army as an opportunity to escape poverty and help his family. At the early days of training at Camp Walters, Texas, Murphy became the target of ridicule. Instructors nicknamed him the company pet, mocking his small stature and youthful face, like a 14-year-old boy. But what silenced them was the cold, unwavering stare Murphy displayed on the firing range. When aiming, his clear blue eyes became emotionless, revealing no feeling, and he never missed a shot. The bullets from Murphy's hands were not only accurate but delivered with a cold, decisive precision. His incredible marksmanship quickly proved itself during his first campaigns in Sicily, Italy, and later France. Landing with Company B, 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division during the Sicily campaign in July 1943, Murphy began to demonstrate extraordinary combat abilities. From stealthy movement through mountainous terrain, using every obstacle for cover, to mastering every type of weapon, he became a soldier admired by his comrades. In one battle at Palermo, when his unit was pinned down by a German machine gun, Murphy snuck around behind the enemy, used grenades to take out the crew, and turned the machine gun against them. His bravery and combat effectiveness earned him a recommendation for the Bronze Star, with commanders noting that this young man possessed a natural ability in combat far beyond what could be expected of an untested soldier. But it was not only his combat skill. Murphy's survival instincts and cold composure in battle set him apart. During Company B's subsequent campaigns at the Volturno River, Anzio, and Salerno, he proved he could single-handedly fight against numerically and firepower superior opponents. At the Volturno River, using a borrowed sniper rifle, Murphy killed 5 German soldiers from over 300 yards away, holding the defensive line after his unit was nearly wiped out. It was here that the nickname, the cold-blooded killer, began to be associated with him. Both American and enemy soldiers described him as fearless, unflinching, fighting like a precise machine. See the enemy, eliminate them, move, and continue. By the time Company B advanced into southern France in 1944, Murphy was no longer the inexperienced boy who had entered training camp. He had endured numerous brutal battles, been wounded twice, received multiple decorations, and most importantly, become a reliable leader. When the company commander was killed in an ambush near Montelimar, Murphy immediately took command. With only 18 men left alive, he organized the defense of a strategic crossroads, personally killing 15 German soldiers, and was promoted to second lieutenant on October 14, 1944. Returning to the winter of 1945 as the Colmar Pocket Campaign began, Murphy and Company B faced a dire situation. Only 40 soldiers remained against 250 elite German mountain troops and 6 tanks. All officers were wounded or dead. The unit was nearly out of supplies and exhaustion was extreme. Murphy himself had been wounded in the leg by shrapnel 2 days earlier but told no one. Temperatures hovered around freezing, the wind bit to the bone, snow reached over 3 feet in places, and artillery fire thundered without pause. Company B's machine guns were frozen. American soldiers were spent, eyes sunken, hands stiffened by cold. Before them lay a mile of open field where the Germans were preparing a full-scale assault. In this frozen, brutal setting, Murphy was more than a soldier. He embodied human willpower overcoming circumstance, a symbol of turning adversity into strength. Every experience from his harsh childhood hunting skills, sense of family responsibility, and prior battles converged at this moment, preparing Murphy for the battle in which he would become a legend, facing a force so superior that any military theory would deem it unbeatable. Even to his comrades, Murphy was an extraordinary sight. Small, youthful, yet with eyes cold as ice, calm amidst smoke and fire, inspiring confidence and protection. From a boy who once looked like a mascot in training camp, he had grown into a commander capable of altering the course of a battle with nothing but his will and skill. This was the time, the setting, and the person where Audie Murphy's extraordinary story began. A Texas country boy forged by poverty and survival, about to enter a fateful battle against 250 German soldiers and 6 tanks, a fight that would go down in history as a symbol of unimaginable courage. After days of continuous marching and fighting, Company B, 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division, approached Holtzwihr, a small village in Alsace, where winter had turned the surrounding fields into a desolate sea of white snow. The battlefield atmosphere was so tense that every step drained the soldiers' energy. The wind whistled through bare trees, and lingering artillery from previous battles made the men even more weary and exhausted. Company B had already suffered heavy casualties in prior engagements, and now only about 40 tired soldiers remained, with all other officers wounded or killed. Facing them was an elite German force, 250 mountain troops from the 2nd Mountain Division, veterans of the harshest campaigns in Norway, Finland, and the Eastern Front. They were well equipped, experienced in winter combat, and reinforced by 6 Panzer IV tanks and tank destroyers. According to military theory, Company B was in an almost hopeless situation. All principles predicted they would be crushed within minutes. Yet, reality was about to prove that human will, ingenuity, and tactical skill could sometimes defy all odds. The ground was frozen solid, making it nearly impossible for American soldiers to dig effective fighting positions. Weapons constantly jammed and were difficult to operate. Many men showed signs of frostbite, with hands and feet cramped from cold and eyes darkened from sleepless nights. Rations were scarce, cold, and dry, weakening their bodies, but morale had to be maintained, for even a small mistake could mean death. In this harsh environment, Murphy, wounded in the leg by shrapnel, maintained remarkable composure. He observed his men, repositioned them, reminded them to keep proper spacing, and prepared for what was to come. At dawn on January 26th, Murphy positioned Company B along the edge of the WWII forest, overlooking nearly a mile of open fields toward Holtzwihr. 2 M10 tank destroyers were their only anti-tank weapons, placed in positions with a clear line of sight. The company was spread out, but every soldier knew they were sitting on a ticking time bomb, facing an enemy 6 times their number, supported by powerful armored vehicles. At exactly 1 p.m., a relentless German artillery barrage began. Chaos erupted. 80-meter shells struck trees, sending smoke and debris flying. The ground shook, and soldiers dropped to avoid shrapnel. For men already exhausted from days of combat, the bombardment seemed endless, leaving them trembling from cold and fear. When the barrage eased, Murphy observed the Germans beginning their advance. Soldiers in white winter camouflage moved across the snow like ghosts. Tanks advanced in lines while infantry followed. The sight was terrifying. 250 elite German soldiers, hardened by brutal campaigns, moving in to wipe out any resistance. But Murphy showed no fear. He knew artillery support was key to survival and immediately used a field phone to call for danger close fire, asking artillery to strike dangerously near his own position. It was an extremely risky move. One miscalculation could have obliterated him and his men. But Murphy understood there was no alternative. He had to act, and act with precision. When the enemy was about 600 yards away, the two M10s opened fire, but the shots missed. The German tanks immediately returned fire. An 88mm shell hit the rear M10, engulfing it in flames. The crew had to abandon the vehicle. The front M10 tried to reposition, but slid into a frozen ditch. Its crew also fled into the forest. Company B was now left with only Murphy and a handful of men defending an almost empty line. At that moment, Murphy ordered his men to retreat into the forest to pre-prepared defensive positions, but he did not withdraw. Instead, he climbed atop the burning M10, gripping his M2 Browning 50 caliber machine gun with a clear view of the battlefield. Instantly, he became a visible target, a small figure amid smoke and flames, but also the only spearhead stopping the German advance. Within minutes, Murphy demonstrated why he was a legend. With each burst from the M2, he eliminated groups of German soldiers, forcing their attack formations to halt. At the same time, he continuously directed artillery, adjusting rounds to fall dangerously close to his position, inflicting maximum damage on the enemy while causing panic and disarray. The battlefield was at once silent and chaotic. The whistling wind, crackling gunfire, exploding shells, and German cries echoed across the white snow. Murphy did not fight frantically or recklessly. Every action was calculated, emotionless, focused solely on the objective, protecting his men and holding the line. Harsh weather, frozen terrain, limited ammunition, and exhausted comrades did not slow him. He became a living wall, forcing the elite Germans to halt despite their superior numbers and equipment. Through the eyes of surviving soldiers, Murphy atop the burning M10 became a symbol of calm in chaos, small but resolute, young yet possessing superior intellect and combat skill, standing amid fire and smoke, controlling the situation. Survivors would later stress that Murphy was the source of their morale. They trusted him more than any strategy or weapon. As the Germans advanced, tank commanders realized that without close infantry support, they would be destroyed one by one. Their previously confident offensive collapsed within minutes because one small soldier atop a burning vehicle changed the entire battle. In Murphy's eyes, there was no fear or despair, only a single objective: protect his men, hold the line, and inflict maximum damage on the enemy. He transformed will, skill, and intellect into extraordinary military power, accomplishing what military theory and textbooks deemed impossible. At this point, the battle was only beginning. The Germans, with all their experience and equipment, did not know they were about to face one of the most extraordinary individual combats in history. On the icy white snow, Murphy stood alone amid fire and smoke, facing 250 German mountain troops and 6 tanks, determined that no more Americans would fall if he could prevent it. This was the most desperate scenario, a tired company against an elite battalion where any mistake could mean death. Yet in that moment, Murphy turned despair into opportunity, transforming a burning tank into a personal fortress. He stood atop the M10, firing with deadly accuracy, each M2 bullet calculated, eliminating German soldiers, breaking their formations, and creating a terrifying psychological effect. German soldiers seasoned in the harshest fronts of Norway, Finland, and the East faced a phenomenon they could not comprehend. A 19-year-old American commander, small and alone, standing on a burning tank, shooting precisely, forcing them to stop panic and lose direction. For about an hour, Murphy combined personal fire with artillery direction, adjusting danger-close rounds to prevent German advancement. Every shot had a purpose. He fired when necessary, paused when necessary to observe and adjust. Despite smoke, cold, and flying shrapnel, Murphy maintained absolute composure, earning complete trust from his men. German tanks could not advance without infantry support, and Murphy was systematically eliminating the infantry. They realized that, according to coordinated combat principles, Murphy was disrupting their attack himself. The combination of his M2 Browning and danger-close artillery made one small soldier a formidable threat, forcing an elite force to retreat. When his M2 ammunition ran low, Murphy did not panic. He switched to a carbine, continuing to eliminate approaching Germans. When the enemy closed to just 10 meters, he called for artillery fire directly on his position, a move seemingly reckless, even insane, but executed with perfect calculation and calm. Explosions tore the snow apart, devastating enemy morale and forcing a panicked retreat. The result? About 50 German soldiers were killed, many wounded, the survivors retreated entirely, and tanks had to withdraw. Murphy, wounded, calmly descended from the burning M10, walked across a field littered with German corpses and blood, checked on his men, and ensured they were safe. To him, it was not personal heroism, but a duty to protect his men, a principle above all else. The impact was both tactical and psychological. German soldiers, trained, elite, and fearless, now faced the reality that personal skill and determination could shatter any tactical plan. They did not leave personal testimony, partly due to the sudden defeat and heavy losses. However, German tactical records confirmed that the assault was repelled with severe losses, and units dared not advance further. The Battle of Holtzwihr not only saved Company B, but preserved control of the WWII forest, a critical strategic position. The next day, Holtzwihr was liberated by the 30th Infantry Division, paving the way to neutralize German bridges west of the Rhine, freeing tens of thousands of German troops, and enabling Allied forces to advance into Germany. Murphy became an icon in the U.S. Army, a 19-year-old, 110-pound boy from the Texas fields, standing on a burning tank, fighting 250 German soldiers and 6 tanks for an hour. Combining marksmanship learned from childhood hunting, fighting spirit for his men, and exceptional leadership, he defied every limit predicted by military theory. Throughout his life, Murphy did not see himself as a hero. He once said, "I just did what needed to be done. If one person could do it, why risk the lives of others?" But to his comrades in history, he symbolized courage, combat intelligence, and extraordinary team spirit. After the war, Murphy struggled with PTSD, reliving the horrors of Holtzwihr and previous battles. He slept with his gun under his pillow, avoided darkness that reminded him of night combat. Yet he turned pain into purpose, pioneering support for veterans with psychological trauma and helping establish the Audie Murphy Memorial VA Hospital. Holtzwihr became an immortal symbol of courage, where one individual could change the course of battle, all through the combination of skill, intellect, courage, and devotion to comrades. Murphy, from a boy hunting to feed his family, became a living legend in U.S. military history, proof that human will can surpass all limits. After more than an hour of fighting atop the burning M10 tank, Second Lieutenant Audie Murphy finally left his position, clothes scorched and blood streaming from shrapnel wounds. Yet his composure remained astonishing. He checked on his men, ensured everyone was alive, and only then allowed himself a moment of rest. About 50 German soldiers lay dead across the field. Many more were wounded, and the remaining troops retreated in panic. The German tanks, without infantry support and facing Murphy's extremely precise fire, were forced to fall back. The tactical consequences of Murphy's actions were immediate and profound. Holding Holtzwihr secured control of the WWII forest, a crucial position protecting the 3rd Infantry Division's advance. The next day, U.S. forces liberated Holtzwihr, opening the way to eliminate all German bridgeheads west of the Rhine. This victory removed 50,000 German soldiers from the front, severely weakening the enemy's ability to counterattack and their morale. Murphy not only saved Company B, but altered the operational landscape in Alsace, contributing to the shortening of the war in Europe. Murphy's actions were not merely tactical, they had an extraordinary psychological impact. German soldiers, elite and battle-hardened across Europe, now faced a reality they could not comprehend. Individual will and skill could completely shatter their formations. This event shook their perception of American forces, previously considered less experienced in combat. No personal testimonies from the German side survive, but German military records confirm that their assault was repelled with heavy losses and no further attacks were attempted. Murphy became a living symbol of courage and fighting spirit. A 19-year-old, weighing only 110 pounds, from the Texas fields, had stood alone against 250 German soldiers and 6 tanks, with astonishing composure and precision. Marksmanship honed from childhood hunting to feed his family, combined with combat experience in Sicily, Salerno, Anzio, and France, had transformed him into a cold but highly effective fighting machine. Yet Murphy never considered himself a hero. He always emphasized that he was simply protecting his men. When asked why he stood atop the burning tank, he replied, "They were killing my comrades. I just did what needed to be done." This mindset made him not only a warrior but also an exemplary leader, placing the welfare of the group above personal safety. The psychological toll of war, however, lingered. Murphy suffered severe PTSD, enduring nightmares, prolonged insomnia, and hypervigilance, sleeping with his gun under his pillow or in the garage with the lights on all night. Yet he transformed his pain into purpose, becoming a pioneer in supporting veterans with combat-related psychological issues. The establishment of the Audie Murphy Memorial VA Hospital stands as a testament to his vision, helping those who had fought but could not speak of their pain. Murphy also inspired future generations of soldiers. The U.S. Infantry School used his actions at Holtzwihr as case studies in defensive operations, leadership under fire, and integration of supporting fire. Clubs bearing his name, such as the Audie Murphy Club, honor non-commissioned officers who demonstrate leadership, courage, and concern for their troops in the spirit of Murphy. His legacy is also evident in long-term tactical influence. The Battle of Holtzwihr illustrated the power of combining individual fire with artillery, showing how one person could significantly impact morale and battle outcomes. Even in modern warfare, with drones, satellites, and precision weapons, individual actions can still have decisive effects. Battles in Afghanistan and Iraq have witnessed extraordinary acts by individuals, reflecting a Murphy-like spirit. Murphy's story emphasizes the human factor in war. One person with skill, intellect, and willpower can halt an enemy, overcoming theoretical calculations or superior numbers. He demonstrated that courage and determination are as vital as technology or troop strength. Murphy's life also offers lessons about post-war humanity. He struggled with PTSD but persevered. He used his experience to help thousands of veterans, raising awareness that combat stress is a real medical issue, not a sign of weakness. He became an icon for combining battlefield courage with post-war compassion. Today, Holtzwihr is a peaceful field, but every January 26th, a small ceremony is held at the memorial to honor Murphy and his extraordinary actions. Americans, French citizens, and even a few aging German veterans attend, reminding all that a hero is not someone without fear, but someone who acts despite fear for the benefit of others. Murphy's actions at Holtzwihr also shaped the U.S. military's understanding of war and human capability. Will, skill, intellect, and camaraderie can alter the course of battle, defying theoretical predictions. He transformed from a boy hunting to feed his family into an iconic soldier, a living legend, proof that human spirit can surpass any limits. Murphy received every major U.S. military decoration: the Medal of Honor, Distinguished Service Cross, Silver Stars, Bronze Stars, Purple Hearts, and awards from France and Belgium. Yet his greatest legacy is not the medals, but the enduring influence on the military and veterans, exemplifying courage, combat intelligence, and the ability to overcome psychological trauma to help others. Holtzwihr stands as eternal evidence that a person, in the right place, at the right time, with the right motivation, can change history. Murphy, the boy from Hunt County, Texas, proved that transformation from ordinary to extraordinary in war is not theory. It is living reality, and that courage and determination can defy all military expectations. After the war, Audie Murphy returned to the United States as the most highly decorated soldier in American military history, but these honors did little to ease the deep psychological pain he carried. PTSD, a term not widely recognized at the time, profoundly affected his daily life. He endured sleepless nights, recurring nightmares, and hypervigilance toward every sound and shadow, often sleeping with his gun under his pillow or in the garage with the lights on throughout the night. Yet Murphy did not allow fear to dominate his life. Instead, he transformed his wartime experiences into a mission to help other veterans. He spoke openly about PTSD, a bold move at a time when veterans' mental health issues were often dismissed. Murphy emphasized that combat stress is a real medical condition, not a sign of weakness or lack of courage. Because of his advocacy, the Audie Murphy Memorial VA Hospital in San Antonio was established in 1973, becoming one of the pioneering facilities dedicated to PTSD and combat-related psychological trauma. In the post-war years, Murphy also wrote books and articles sharing his experiences and insights about war, providing inspiration and guidance for veterans and future soldiers. He became a model for military units, where officers and non-commissioned officers were reminded of the importance of leadership, camaraderie, and courage through stories of Holtzwihr. Training programs at the U.S. Army Infantry School frequently used Murphy's actions as a case study in defensive operations, coordinating fire and leadership under extreme conditions. Despite his worldwide recognition and accomplishments, Murphy remained exceptionally humble. He once said, "I didn't do it to be awarded. I did it for my comrades. If one person can do the job, why risk the lives of others?" This statement reflects a profound human dimension. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite fear for the sake of others. Murphy also faced significant personal challenges. His first marriage to Wanda Hendricks lasted only 16 months, strained by PTSD. Later, he married Pamela Murphy, who remained his partner until his death in 1971. Pamela recalled that Murphy could be charming and humorous by day, but at night he became a different person, haunted by wartime memories, unable to tolerate darkness, always alert. Still, he continued helping fellow veterans, turning personal suffering into social impact. Murphy's influence extended beyond the U.S. In Holtzwihr, every January 26th, Americans, French citizens, and even some former German soldiers gather at the memorial to honor his extraordinary actions. The ceremony serves as a reminder that a hero is not someone without fear, but someone who acts for the benefit of others when circumstances are against them. The Battle of Holtzwihr has become a symbol of the human spirit, where one individual can change the course of war. Murphy's military legacy remains strong within U.S. forces. He is studied as a model of leadership under fire, making decisions in extreme conditions and effectively integrating supporting fire. Military clubs bearing his name, such as the Audie Murphy Club, honor individuals who demonstrate courage, skill, and the protective spirit toward their comrades in the same way Murphy did. To modern officers and NCOs, Murphy represents willpower, expertise, and devotion to his troops, timeless values. The Holtzwihr battle also delivers a lasting tactical lesson. It demonstrates that a single person, in a strategic position and with sufficient determination, can halt a superior force by skillfully combining personal firepower, supporting fire, and tactical thinking. Murphy transformed a burning tank into a personal combat platform, maximizing the weapon and environmental advantages to amplify one man's effectiveness. In the eyes of history, Audie Murphy stands as a monument to courage and fighting spirit, but also as a symbol of wartime trauma and the ability to convert that pain into a higher purpose. He proved that medals and fame are not the most important legacy. What matters is the lasting impact on comrades, veterans, and future generations. Murphy died in a plane crash in 1971 at the age of 45, but his legacy endures. From Holtzwihr to PTSD support programs, from writings on war to military clubs, from U.S. Army infantry school training traditions to serving as a moral exemplar for generations of American soldiers. He proved that whether a boy hunting in Texas or an ordinary soldier, courage, skill, and camaraderie can turn someone into a legend and change history. His actions at Holtzwihr continue to serve as a standard of courage and individual leadership, a testament that human will can transcend limits, break military conventions, and create lasting impact. Murphy's story is an enduring reminder. In war and in life, bravery, teamwork, and determination can transform ordinary people into the extraordinary.